Greetings all, I'm Sega Zombie and welcome to another episode of And Now for Something Completely Different. This week we're going to be taking a look at the mighty Amstrad 6128. I never owned a 6128 back in the day, but one of my best mates did. I was more of a Spectrum Commodore guy, but I was always intrigued by this machine, this Alan Sugar inspired computer. Let's take a closer look here, guys. 6128 differs from the 464. It's got 128k of RAM and a 3-inch floppy disk drive. This is the zip stick, my preferred joystick of choice, this one. Really responsive, really nice. The zip stick is a great all-rounder. Let's take a look, guys, at the disc games I have in the collection. These are getting harder and harder to come by now, especially to get them working. I've got quite a few box complete games. As you can see, the formats of these boxes were completely random back in the day. You've got little boxes, big boxes, you've got cases, and you've got these really cute looking little plastic cases here. Sorcery, a brilliant little game. We've also got Zoids. Used to love that game back in the day. And every Amstrad collection has Time Man 1. Here we have 3D Grand Prix. And this is an awesome little Attack Attack clone, Wizard's Lair. And here we have Wizard's Lair, guys, released by Bubble Bus Software back in 1985. And as you can see, this is a carbon copy pretty much of the amazing Attack Attack, which was released on the Spectrum by Ultimate Play the game. This plays pretty much identical to that. It's not as polished as Attack Attack, but it follows the same formula. It's a top-down adventure game where you go around collecting items to progress through the levels. And here we have, I believe, the compilation disc that came with the Amstrad. Some classics on here. We've got Rollin' in Time, Nomad, Hunchback. And then moving on to some big boxes here. We've got the mighty Barbarian. This game was huge back in the day, and it got a port on every single computer system going. And the Amstrads, for an 8-bit, is actually a really solid conversion. Let's take a closer look, guys. Seeing this game, the memories surely do come flooding back. This reminds me of being that young lad round my mate's house, and we endlessly kept trying to lob each other's head off. That's what I'm going to try and do here for you guys. Here we go. Boom. And then along comes the Green Goblin. He carries off the defeated, decapitated Barbarian and kicks his head for good measure. Awesome. Let's take a look at some more of these big box games. We've got the Flintstones. This is an interesting one, Victory Road. This is the sequel to Akari Warriors. Quite a good little game, this. Let's take a closer look, guys. And here we have Victory Road, The Pathway to Fear. Released back in 1986 and published by Imagine. This game apparently follows straight on where Akari Warriors left off. As you can see there, I've just picked up a flamethrower to cause more carnage to the enemies. I'm not sure if I like this game as much as I do Akari Warriors. To me, it's not as nostalgic, but again, it's a solid little shooter. Not bad at all. Right, let's get back to looking at a few more games that I have in the collection. Here we have Arkanoid. The case is damaged on this one, so let's just see if I can pick this up. Arkanoid Revenge of Duh, a classic. And here we have a compilation. As you'll see, I've got plenty of these. Let's take a look at Way of the Exploding Fist. Now, in today's standards, these games are extremely basic. And you've got to remember, guys, this is way before the days of Street Fighter and the like. Most of these fighting style games back in the day were like on a one-hit point system. I had this originally on the Spectrum, and the Amstrad conversion is very similar. as we find with a lot of Amstrad games. Some of them can be straight ports of the Spectrum, but this is a quality little game. And here we have Light Force. This is a great little shooter on the Amstrad. It was released on most systems, but I really like the Amstrad version. I never had this back in the day, but let's have a closer look. As I just mentioned, I never had this growing up, but a friend recommended this game to me recently. I've picked it up, and it's a great little shooter. It was released back in 1986 by FTL. What I like about this game is it has a really varied enemy pattern. You start off with the asteroids, and then I really like the take on where you have to destroy, on this level it's battle stations or space stations. You've got to make sure that you blow up all these pods to get maximum points. And then moving on later in the level, here you get the nice enemy designs and patterns. And it flows and moves really well. This is a solid little 8-bit shooter and a great game on the Amstrad. It's the end of the first level. And here we are on level 2. Again, a variant and change of the enemy design. And it's got some really nice detailed backdrops. The pacing of the enemies change as well. You get slow moving enemies, and then you get these fast like dart shaped ships. This level, same basis, but instead of space stations it's like bases. It's a great little shoot 'em up, highly recommended. Moving on here, we've got Cybernoid, a great game released by Hoosen, the mighty Hoosen, an awesome company. Here's another one here, Metaflex. Moving on to the next stack of games. Here we have the obligatory football game, World Cup Year 90. Not a great game that. And like I said, plenty of compilations here. Here's 4 classic Capcom games. Unfortunately they're not all great conversions. Got Black Tiger, which is just the Spectrum port, Strider, Forgotten Worlds and Ghouls and Ghosts. Let's take a closer look at Forgotten Worlds. Forgotten Worlds on the Amstrad was released back in 1989, and this game got ported to again every computer, and it was published in Europe by US Gold. Now US Gold gets a lot of flack and stick from some of the conversions they released back in the day, but I think Forgotten Worlds is a classic. This is a really great conversion on the Amstrad. It stays pretty true to the arcade original. It's got varied enemies, loads of detail to the backdrops there, lovely colours, really great sprites. Yeah, it plays really well. As you can see, the hit detection's a little off, but it's a solid little blaster. Thoroughly enjoy this game, and this one really does bring back memories. I can remember playing this on the Amstrad, loving it, and then as soon as I got my Mega Drive, this was one of the first games I went out and bought. Awesome. Back to the stack of games, guys. Here we have Corruption. This is like a text adventure style game. This has got some really lovely visuals. Get it the right way up here, guys. I don't know if you can see these very well on the camera, but yeah, visually a really good game. A solid adventure game, that one. Here we go, another compilation, again upside down. Here we have Coin Up Hits, Bionic Commando, Spy Hunter, Road Blasters, and the god-awful conversion of Outrun. Here we have Double Dragon 3, the Rosetta Stone, and then on the other side, just turn that around, we have Rodland. This is a great little game. Let's take a closer look. And here we have Rodland. It's a 1-2 player platform game this, where your fairies Tam and Rit, you clear stages to save your kidnapped mother. Now this game plays very similar to Parasol Stars and Bubble Bobble. It's that type of game, guys. And it's a fun little blast. Maybe not as smooth and as fast running as some of the other conversions, but it's bright, colourful and got some lovely graphics. Bubble Bubble, this is not though, guys. It has got sluggish controls and I just wish it had a soundtrack. It's one of those games that deserves a soundtrack. I'm not sure whether the other conversions did have, because I'm not familiar with it on those systems, but yeah, it's just lacking that music. You want some game music with this. That being my main gripe with the game, no game music. Apart from that, it does play well and it's a solid little puzzler, worth checking out. Next up we've got Barbarian 2, the hugely disappointing Barbarian 2, the Dungeon of Drax. After the amazing first game, this game just so disappointed. I was not a fan of this game at all. There's Wolf from the Gladiators there in the background. And then we move on to one of the most iconic games of this generation, and that is Ocean's Robocop. This game really brings it all flooding back. Let's take a closer look, guys.
Robocop. Serve the public trust. Protect the innocent. Uphold the law.
Wow, guys, this game it all comes flooding back. This game really does give me goosebumps. It's one of those games that it's just so iconic to me. It was the first game I had that had decent speech on it, and I can remember just being in awe, listening to Robocop speak over and over again, the prime directives. Everything about this game is quality. It's got awesome level design, great graphics. Just hearing that doom, doom, it just all comes flooding back, guys. One of the most nostalgic games I have in my collection. I absolutely adore this game. One of the greatest games and probably in my all-time top 50 games. It's got to be up there. Awesome. Robocop being one of my favourite action sci-fi films of all time, and I just feel that this game really captures the feel of that movie. A great game, guys. If you haven't played this game, you've got to check it out. It's awesome. I could never do these photo fit stages when I was a kid, and I used to feel the pressure, that music really adding to the atmosphere and the whole pressure of the time limit and getting the face perfectly matched. Awesome. Moving on quickly, guys, from Robocop. Otherwise this whole video will be dedicated to it. Here we have a compilation here, Moon Buggy, great little game. On the Amstrad and most of the computers there was this educational gump. Here we have Monopoly, we all know Monopoly. And we've got a License to Kill here in one of these big huge brittle plastic boxes. And next up we have the Tengen Trilogy. Klax is quite a good port on the Amstrad. Cyberball, nah, never really played that. Let's take a look at Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters. Planet of the Robot Monsters, released originally by Atari Games in 1989. This game is sort of like loosely based on campy science fiction B-movies of the 1950s. A great little concept and an awesome little game. Check it out, guys. This is a really nice, bright, colourful, isometric adventure shoot 'em up game. Loads of puzzle elements to it. I can remember being so impressed by this on the Amstrad. I can remember picking it up a couple of years later on the Atari ST. And it's quite shocking how close the Amstrad version is to the Atari version. A really, really great, colourful little blaster. I really enjoyed the puzzle elements. Your typical pull levers to open doors and get up to the next level. As you can see here, I'm trying to free one of these human slaves. They're being forced to work by the robots. I love the graphics there on the laser guns. Yeah, a great little game. Highly recommended. We go a bit faster pace here where you've got to dodge certain droids while freeing the humans. Up, pull down this lever. Right, what's next? Another compilation. Rambo, a great game. Ghostbusters, I've spent hours as a kid on this game. Kung Fu Master, bit of a naff port that one. These are like a wallet style box here. Hyper Sports, great game. I know a lot of people like Mikey. I'm a big fan of Yea Kung Fu and Green Beret. I must admit though, I prefer the Spectrum version of Green Beret. But there, here we have these plastic wallets. I love how this generation had so many different cases and boxes and styles. So nostalgic. I can remember staring at the covers for hours as a kid. Because that's what sold these games back then. It was their covers. Not really knowing what the games were about. Imagining that they were going to be amazing. And most of the time, them not being. But here we have some fantastic games. Head Over Heels, Stallone Cobra, rock hard that game. Frankie. But let's have a little look at Head Over Heels. It's got to be done. A great conversion on the Amstrad. And a truly awesome isometric puzzler. Let's have a look, guys. This is one of the first games where the puzzles really used to stump me as a kid growing up. And it's an adventure game where you get that little bit further every time you play it. And that's what grabs you and pulls you into this great game. Is each time you get that little bit further or get into an extra room that you've not seen before. I love the graphics to this game. Really detailed sprites. Some good work of colours. And the puzzles really were mind benders. I remember back in the time being right stuck on some of these rooms. A great game, and it brings back so many memories. Awesome. Moving on, guys, here we have gold compilation here. And this game, I can remember getting this back in the day one Christmas, opening this up and just couldn't wait to play these games. Rolling Thunder, Gauntlet 2, 720, the god awful Outrun again. And then moving on to some of the smaller boxes here, we have E-Motion, a game I never had back in the day and I can't say I'm a fan of it now. Interesting. And then we've got G-Lock, an absolutely fantastic arcade machine, but I don't think it ever got a decent home conversion, not even on the Mega Drive. This one, oh, that's upside down. Let's put that the right way round, guys. But yeah, done by the same people that coded Afterburner on the Amstrad. And here we have Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, I don't think there was a single computer or console this game wasn't released on back in the day. The Turtles were such a massive phenomenon of the late 80s, early 90s, as we all know. This has got some really bright artwork here, some great visuals to this game. I must admit, I'm not a fan of this actual Turtles game though. It's a game that I found tedious, and it's very repetitive. You find yourself going backwards and forwards to the same sewers as you're going to see. But yeah, look at those graphics. Really, really strong graphics. Great sprites. It all moves really, really well. And it's not far off the original NES version. I always thought this was a little bit weird when you're swimming as a turtle. Again, this was a game that I was so excited and couldn't wait to play. And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed. I made myself like this game, if I'm fair with you guys. But again, it showcases some of the great graphics and colours of the Amstrad. And here we have Pipe Mania. Now this was a big family game in my household back in the day. I can remember my parents being fans of this game. Great little puzzler, and we all used to get involved in it. And coming up next we have Double Dragon 2. Now this is a game I used to put endless amounts of pocket money and all my 10p's in at the arcade, and I can remember being really impressed with the conversion of this. Let's take a closer look, guys. Not quite sure what's happened to the soundtrack of this one. It sounds all a little bit underwater, but I'm really impressed with the size of the sprites in this. It moves pretty well, a little sluggish, but yeah, this is a great little conversion of Double Dragon 2 on the Amstrad. Great colours, great use of sprite work. Really impressed with this one, guys, and it's still really, really playable. I can remember back in the day, me and my mate going halves on this one. I can remember us bussing into town and going to John Menzies. Who remembers that? And going in there and paying $9.99 for this game, pretty much on launch. And we played this all over the summer holidays back in the day. We loved Double Dragon, and it is a really, really great game on the Amstrad, guys. I really love it. The nostalgia, awesome game. Moving on, that leaves us with Darkman, a great Sam Raimi film, another Ocean release, as they did back in the day. Every film that come out had an Ocean release game adaptation of that movie. Not a bad little game, quite broken up. It's got some beat 'em up stages, platform stages. And that brings us to the end of the video and a look at my Amstrad CPC6128 collection. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Sega Zombie. Until the next time, goodbye.